This is Nick.
This is Jack.
Welcome back. It is Monday, June 16th, and today's pod is the best one yet. This is a T-Boy.
The top 3 pop business news stories you need to know today.
But man, Yetis, there is a lot going on right now. Across the country, you have protests.
Outside of the country, there's a new war in the Middle East.
And then on Saturday, a state representative from Minnesota and her husband were assassinated.
Yetis, we don't cover all that news on this show. That's not possible for us, and it's not what the show is about.
But here's the thing. Jack and I live and breathe the news every day to create this podcast. We feel it and we see it just like you do.
What we do is find the best business stories and takeaways that will make you the most interesting person in the room.
And make each episode the best one yet. So Jack, we got 3 fantastic stories for today's T-Boy. What's on the show?
For our first story, the best player in the NBA Finals is wearing the smallest shoe brand, Converse.
And Converse is launching a sneaker dating show? Jack, whoa, we got to jump into this.
For our second story, with war escalating in the Middle East, executives from Meta, Palantir, and OpenAI are joining the U.S. Army Reserves.
Literally, because big tech is the new drill sergeant.
And our third and final story. Guess what's the most lucrative restaurant chain in America?
You're never going to guess it.
Hint, they're known for soup dumplings.
Okay.
Answer, they're called Tai Fung.
Tai Fung. They make more money per restaurant than anyone else in the country because of one lucky number.
18.
18.
But Yetis, before we hit that wonderful mix of stories.
I mean, what a mix of stories. Love the mix today.
Hawaiian shirt day, cupcake birthday day, bring your kid to work day.
But of all those office traditions, one is the most holy.
Summer Fridays.
Yeah, baby.
The time-honored corporate law that workers may leave their desk 3 hours early on Friday.
Exclusively from June to August, Memorial Day to Labor Day.
You can ditch your desk by 12 and you're good.
Hit the Hamptons by 2 p.m., you're really good.
We think Summer Fridays is a productivity boost. It incentivizes you to work efficiently and get your work done early.
But get this, besties. New data shows that Summer Fridays are going away. They're going extinct.
A poll conducted by Monster this month found that just 16% of U.S. workers get Summer Fridays.
But according to a different survey, back in 2019, 55% of American companies got Summer Fridays.
So pre-pandemic, most workers could leave work early on Friday. Today, very few can.
And Jack, what is the ironic force that is killing Summer Fridays?
It's work from home any other day.
That's right. With flexible work weeks, bosses thinks there's less need for flexible Fridays.
We gained some flexibility Monday through Thursday. We lost some flexibility on Friday.
So besties, add it all up, and yeah, we know Summer Friday happens to be the top-rated work perk.
So maybe there's a lesson here from Greek mythology to help it go down easier.
Like Icarus, the American white-collar worker flew too close to the sun.
But the sun didn't burn our wings.
No, he didn't.
Just made us work till 5 o'clock on Summer Fridays.
Happy Summer Monday, Yetis. Jack, let's hit our 3 stories.
15 years before this song, 2 boys from the Northeast met in a dorm. They had an idea that caused a cultural storm. It's the best one yet, but the best is a norm. Jack, Nick, that's it. I don't even think they need to practice. 50%, that's a fat tip. T-Boy City on your at-list. If you know, you know, cause we ready to go. We can't wait no more, so just start the show. Start the show.
For our first story, the best player in the NBA Finals is wearing Converse sneakers?
And Converse just launched a dating show.
I'm sorry, pause the pod. What is going on here, Jack?
Here's how the inventor of basketball shoes is finally re-entering basketball.
Now, Yetis, if you've seen the movie Air about Nike and Michael Jordan, then you know how Converse blew it.
In 1984, Converse had Larry Bird, Magic Johnson. They were the #1 basketball shoe. Converse controlled the universe.
The Converse All-Star, a.k.a. the Chuck Taylor, a.k.a. my go-to shoe for playing pickup on 79th Street, Converse invented the basketball shoe in 1917.
But Michael Jordan signed with Nike, and the rest is history. In 2003, Nike actually bought Converse for less than $1 billion.
Well, let's sprinkle on some financial context, Jack. Today, Nike brings in about $50 billion a year in revenue. How are our buddies over at Converse doing?
Well, they're only bringing in $2 billion. so 4% of Nike's overall revenue.
In fact, Yetis, today, Converse is less a basketball shoe. It's more of a streetwear brand.
Yeah, Converse is about rebels, not rebounds.
Hey, you don't wear Converse to the court, you wear it to get coffee.
But not anymore, because this year's NBA MVP, who is also playing in the NBA Finals, is Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, and he's a Converse guy.
And SGA is a Converse guy.
That's right. The biggest surprise of the NBA Finals is that Converse has snagged the spotlight from Nike.
But besties, as shocking as that headline was, this is even bigger.
Converse just launched a dating show. It's called Chuckmates. And yes, it's a dating show.
That's right, a blind dating show hosted by Amelia de Moldenberg, and it's about Converse sneakers, Jack?
Here's the deal. Potential daters chat with each other, but they can only see the shoes that they're wearing. And of course, they're all wearing Converse.
You wear Chucks, you're gonna get kisses.
No, I watched one episode. It was okay. The YouTube video got 1 million views. Not too shabby.
Not too shabby at all. Love is Blind is bigger, but hey, Love is also well-dressed in some cases.
And it's all part of a Converse nationwide ad campaign called Love Chuck.
All right, so Jack, can we lace up for a second, add all this up for the besties out there?
A nationwide brand campaign, a flashy new dating show. They're on the court in the NBA Finals. What's next for Converse?
Well, Jack, Converse is finally gonna sell a basketball shoe again. So, Jack, what's the takeaway for our buddies over at Converse?
Converse is doing what Nike did 40 years ago. They're betting it all on one guy.
All right, Yetis, we saved the best for last. The real shocker here is that Converse does not sell a single basketball shoe right now. That's right, Converse only does casual streetwear.
They still sell the Chuck Taylors, but those don't really qualify as basketball shoes anymore.
You're gonna break an ankle as soon as you put that thing on, man.
But that's all changing now. Because 10 years ago, Converse's basketball scout, Adrian Stelly, met SGA while he was still playing in high school.
And Converse decided to go all in on this one player. So this fall, fresh off his MVP season, fans can finally buy the Shai 001 Converse sneaker.
Converse's first basketball sneaker in years.
So as next season tips off, Converse is taking on Nike, Adidas, and New Balance with one shoe about one dude.
Just like Nike went all in on Jordan with a signature Jordan shoe, Converse is going all in on Shai with a signature Shai shoe.
That's right, Yetis. 40 years after Converse got Nike'd, Nike could get Conversed. For our second story, as war in the Middle East escalates, we're looking at the U.S. Army's newest surprise recruits.
Because on Friday, executives from Palantir, Meta, and OpenAI got promoted as military officers.
But besties, let's start this story with just a random coincidence. And what's that, Jack?
Donald Trump and the U.S. Army have the same birthday.
Yeah.
It's June 14th.
One in 1946, the other back in 1775.
So, in Washington, D.C., they celebrated with a military parade.
And that display of military muscle, it came one day after two other major military events. One of them you probably saw, one of them you probably didn't see.
First is Israel attacking Iran's nuclear scientists and nuclear facilities. On Friday, stocks fell and oil prices rose because of it.
But the second story is that the U.S. military promoted 4 officers to the U.S. Army Reserves.
They're tech workers,
Yeah.
including Andrew Bosworth, the number 2 at Meta, who answers directly to Mark Zuckerberg.
Yeah, that guy, Boz, who's usually on like a Dell computer typing away on some code, is now an Army reservist.
Plus, 2 other engineers and millionaires from Palantir and OpenAI. They're in the Army.
Besties, what Jack and I are saying here is that America's top techies are now in the Army's newest unit, and it's called Detachment 201.
This sounds like the plot of a sitcom.
It's like MASH 2.0, basically, Jack.
But it's a real story. These tech reservists will only serve 120 hours a year, so they're weekend warriors, literally.
Although we should point out, unlike other Army Reserve members, there's no basic training involved if you're coming from the big tech industry.
They don't have to, do 10 pull-ups.
There's no push-up minimum on these guys.
They're there for the brains, not the bicep.
That's what the service is for. But Jack, can you please sprinkle on some interesting historical business context for us, please?
We saw something similar happen 75 years ago, when during World War II, the United States called on automotive companies to win that war.
That's right, besties. Ford, Dodge, and Chevrolet, they retooled their factories during World War II for aircraft instead of making cars.
They started making bombers instead of Buicks.
And it looks like something similar is happening right now. Today, generals say that the key to modern warfare is AI and drones, tech business.
So we're recruiting from big tech.
And just like in World War II, tech companies are now pivoting their know-how to support national defense.
Now, we should point out, these new recruits, they're going to be operating independently, not as part of the tech companies they're working for.
So Boz won't be working with Meta when he's helping out the military.
And these techies, they also won't be in any combat roles.
Instead, they're going to be teaching soldiers how to operate AI-powered attack systems, for example.
Or maybe simply review the systems of the military and give advice on how to improve software and operations.
Basically, you think of these guys like the Geek Squad, but for the jarheads.
That is the best way to sum this up.
So Jack, what's the takeaway for our big tech buddies serving in the Army?
Tech is following the Palantir path.
Ah, the Palantir path. Yetis, 10 years ago, the tech industry was full of and led by progressive optimists who didn't want to see their tech used by the military.
So big tech avoided doing business with the Army. And when they did, employees staged boycotts and protests.
But there was one exception here, wasn't there, Jack?
Palantir.
Yeah, Palantir.
That was the one company that for 20 years in tech has enthusiastically supported the U.S. military.
You know what, Yetis, today, Palantir is the most important tech contractor for the entire U.S. military, by far.
And it's the biggest gainer of America's top 500 stocks so far this year. Palantir is up 84%.
So Yetis added up, and execs from Meta and OpenAI just joined the inaugural class of U.S. Army Reserves, the Tech Corps.
But they're all following Palantir's path.
It's the Palantir path. Hey Yetis, if you're a bestie, take a sec and hit that subscribe button.
And like this video while you're at it. If you leave a comment, by the way, we'll read it.
For our third and final story, a soup dumpling chain from Taiwan is taking over America, and it's called Din Tai Fung.
These 16 family-owned restaurants have more sales than any other restaurant in America.
And it's all because of one lucky number, and we got that number. But Jack, before we start this story, we have to point out the best dumplings in the country. Where would one find them?
Across the street from the apartment you and I had in New York City. It was called Vanessa's Dumpling on East 14th Street, and they sold a dozen dumplings, boiled or grilled, for $3.
And we'd come home from work at the banks, and basically our buddy Timmy would have spent $12 for about 1,000 dumplings that he'd toss into our mouths. It was a fun time.
The sesame pancakes were fantastic as well.
They burned you, but it was a good burn.
But besties, the lines right now are for the first East Coast location of Din Tai Fung.
Din Tai Fung, a Taiwanese dumpling chain that opened up in New York City 1 year ago.
And this location is huge, 25,000 square feet. It's a restaurant in Midtown Manhattan, the size of a Best Buy.
They now have 16 locations in the U.S. so far, and basically it's like the Disney World of dumplings. This is edible theater right in front of you.
Most of the locations are on the West Coast. This is the first East Coast location. But the business actually goes back 3 generations to Taiwan.
It actually started as a cooking oil business before they pivoted to restaurants in 1958.
And now they specialize in soup dumplings, the most delicious thing in the world.
Hot, 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 hot.
And at the New York City location, they have 34 chefs who make 16,000 soup dumplings every day.
But the wildest part about those insane numbers is that there's no machinery involved. This is all completed by hand.
Handmade dumplings. More on that in a bit.
That's actually key to our story. But here's the shocker, Yetis. Din Tai Fung is now #1 in America for sales per restaurant by far.
They did $411 million in sales last year in the U.S., which turns out to be $27 million per location.
All right, Jack, you used to be a waiter at the Olive Garden. I'm sorry, wine salesman of the month at the Olive Garden. Could you please sprinkle on some context for us comparing this restaurant to other American restaurant chains?
One Din Tai Fung does the same sales as 2 Cheesecake Factories, 5 Benihanas, or 6 Olive Gardens.
All right, Jack, what if we compare Din Tai Fung to fast food chains in America?
Chick-fil-A has the highest fast food sales per restaurant. Din Tai Fung does 4 times as much.
So we did restaurant chains, we did fast food chains. What about, I don't know, Jack, really expensive fancy restaurants, fine dining?
Nobu, the most expensive sushi restaurant in New York City. Nobu does $10 million per location. Din Tai Fung does almost 3 times that much.
In fact, besties, as Jack and I jumped in T-Boy style, we could only find 14 restaurants in America with more sales than the average Din Tai Fung.
And those 14 restaurants are all one-offs. They're like fancy restaurants with Michelin stars.
Din Tai Fung has 16 restaurants doing $27 million, baby.
It's a combination of high-end and scalable that we've never seen in the restaurant industry.
And Din Tai Fung, it is family owned. They have no franchises, and yet they have multiple locations punching above their weight, making Ronald McDonald choke on a fry.
So how does Din Tai Fung, or DTF if you will, how are they putting up numbers that will make Wendy's blush?
Well, they're doing it with the number 18.
Because every Din Tai Fung soup dumpling gets 18 folds. It's a precise process to keep all the soup in there.
And it's part of the brand's golden ratio. That one specific number actually reflects their entire corporate strategy. So Jack, what's the takeaway for our buddies folding dumplings at Din Tai Fung?
There are lucky numbers, and then there are lucrative numbers.
Now, yeah, it is these 18 pleated folds in a dumpling, that's not just for good luck. It's actually a highly strategic detail driving the chain's success.
This is their hero product, and folding the dough 18 times enhances the structural integrity and optimizes the taste.
But it's also a talent strategy because Din Tai Fung requires a 12-week training program to teach the proper 18-fold technique.
That's wild, and it also ensures that each employee is committed to the business.
But Jack, it's also a logistics strategy because requiring each dumpling have 18 folds means you get the same size of every dumpling at every location, 21 grams per dumpling.
And with every dumpling being 21 grams because of the 18 folds, they can order the exact meat portions and not have any waste.
18. Yetis, that is an intentional number. It is an engineered number. Din Tai Fung soup dumplings, they operate with the precision of SpaceX.
There are lucky numbers, and then there are lucrative numbers.
And Din Tai Fungs are pretty lucrative. Jack, could you whip up the takeaways for us to kick off the week?
Converse is getting back into basketball this fall, and they just launched a sneaker dating show.
Converse, they're doing what Nike did 40 years ago. They're betting it all on one guy.
For our second story, the U.S. Army now has a reserve corps of tech executives who put in 120 hours of service a year.
But when it comes to tech support in the military, they're all just following the Palantir path.
And our third and final story is Din Tai Fung. DTF has $27 million of sales per location, the most of any chain restaurant in America.
And it's all thanks to the number 18. That's not a lucky number. That's a lucrative number.
But Yetis, this pod's not over yet. Here's what else you need to know today.
First, Meta's AI app has become an awkwardly embarrassing privacy disaster for users, and you got to know about this because it could get weird.
All right, so Meta AI is a chatbot that's trying to compete head-on with ChatGPT and Claude. The difference for Meta AI is their news feed.
Yeah, it turns out the goal was to open people's eyes on how to use AI by seeing how your friends use it.
But people didn't realize their searches are public.
Yeah.
So they're asking AI very personal things, and it's going on a newsfeed all their friends can see.
You're like sharing your tax info, your draft letters to lovers, confessions, like, oh, I got a thing on my thigh. What is the thing on my... You don't want people to know about the thing on your thigh, man.
People are finding out.
And second, a follow-up from our Friday story about deportations affecting the economy.
President Trump told ICE to pause raids and arrests at farms, hotels, restaurants, and Home Depots.
Because unauthorized immigrants provide key labor in those industries and, as Trump said himself, can't be replaced.
So he wants to avoid what we said on Friday. He wants to avoid more deportations, leading to fewer workers, leading to higher prices.
He's trying to avoid deportation inflation.
And finally, Mattel, the toy company, announced a partnership with OpenAI to put a brain inside Barbie dolls? What's going on over there, Nick?
Okay. So they're using OpenAI's technology. Mattel will bring the magic of AI to age-appropriate play experiences with an emphasis on innovation, privacy, and safety, end quote.
Let's try to translate that.
Please, Jack.
Their Hot Wheels are going to be self-driving.
Yeah, I think Barbie's going to be able to write the term papers for you, Jack. Now, time for the best fact yet. Today, it is T-Boy Trivia sent in by our buddy Wilder up in Shelburne.
The Pixar movie Cars stars Lightning McQueen, a red race car voiced by Owen Wilson.
Ka-chow!
Nicely said, Nick. Now, here's the question. Why is this Lightning McQueen race car the color red? It probably has something to do with this quote.
And here's the quote. Ask a child to draw a car, and certainly he will draw it red.
In fact, have you noticed the race car emoji is red as well?
Interestingly, all the race cars in the world seem to have a red element to them.
So here's our trivia. Who famously said this quote?
Ask a child to draw a car, and certainly he will draw it red.
Here's a hint. He built an entire company based on that principle.
And the answer is coming up in tomorrow's pod. Yetis, you look fantastic over there to kick off the summer Mondays. Jack, you're looking great too. Might I suggest maybe we dive in T-Boy style and research Din Tai Fung a little bit more? What do you think?
Dude, I would love some soup dumplings. I haven't had them since I lived in New York City.
I'm sorry, waiter. There's only 17 folds on this dumpling. We're going to need the whole meal to be comped.
You just got that waiter fired.
Okay, I'm sorry. You were right. It's 18. It was my mistake. I miscounted. Oh, boy. It's a write-off. It's a write-off, Jack. Yetis, tell a buddy today, HYH TBOY. That's how we grow the show.
Have you had the best one yet?
And Jack and I will see you tomorrow. And before we go, a happy birthday to our buddy Dave Reed, the former 14th Street roommate from New Canaan, Connecticut.
Happy anniversary to Nick and Molly, who got married 7 years ago today. I was there. It was a beautiful ceremony.
Oh, Molly looked fantastic. She still looks fantastic. Molly, that was so much fun.
Didn't you shoot a cannon?
We shot a cannon. Molly, I promised you we'd have adventure. Man, have the last few years been an adventure. Great work.
Happy birthday to Wes Yang in Las Vegas, who's also a new dad to baby Kaylee.
And Ramses Gonzalez over in Philly is also looking for a job, so hit him up because he's having the best birthday yet.
Happy birthday to Jesse Carrasco in Dana Point, California, hoping to catch some waves today.
And Annabelle Lippincott-Paxoy in San Francisco, but from just outside Boston, is celebrating a fantastic birthday.
Happy anniversary to Nicholas Cicero and his wife. 13 years of marriage together.
Jack, their first date was at a museum in Buffalo, New York, and he proposed at the Louvre in Paris.
Congratulations to Elizabeth and Michael, who are getting married this week in Charlotte, North Carolina.
Can't wait to see the pics. Congrats, guys. And Patrice and Connor just got engaged in Cincinnati. We got a marketing guru and a minor league player for the Cardinals, Jack. That's got to be a cool ring.
Happy housewarming to Megan Choi in New York City.
And Gerald Zingraf is returning from Beach PTO. He actually saw me at the Ferry Building, Jack, during a board meeting in January. And Gerald, you looked fantastic for it. You crushed it.
And to anyone else who's celebrating something today, make it a T-Boy.
Celebrate the wins.
This is Jack. Nick and I both own ETFs of the S&P 500.
How should I say ka-chow, Jack?
Ka-chow.
Ka-chow. Okay.
Thanks for asking.